Welcome to the Wilderness and Environmental Medicine Live Videocast. Yes, so you might have already heard our podcast and our discussion with Jim Diaz. Well, I'll tell you what, the Videocast is going to have some of the pictures that Jim talked about. So look, if you're tired of COVID, well, we're going to go ahead and talk about some other types of infectious disease, like ticks, and we'll be able to see the pictures. Whoa, who is that guy? Well, let's get going.
And North Carolina. And the vector is the Lone Star tick, and we're going to look at the Lone Star tick in a second. This is the distribution range now for heartland virus, first reported in 2009 in Missouri, and now it's as far to the west as in Oklahoma and Kansas, also transmitted by the Lone Star tick. This is the black-legged deer tick, which everybody is familiar with because it's the Lyme disease tick. But nymphs of this tick, which are the size of a pinhead, can transmit Powassan virus. This is the Rocky Mountain wood tick, which can also transmit Powassan virus. Remember, we said Powassan was confined to New England, particularly upper New England and Kansas. How it got into northern Minnesota and Wisconsin, we're not sure of. Could be migratory birds along the Great Lakes pathways. This is that recently introduced tick, the Asian longhorned tick. So these are all hard-bodied or Ixodidae ticks. And this is the one that was introduced from China. It first came into the United States in New Jersey. This is the endemic area of China where it came from. And we now know it's moving westward across the United States. And as I said earlier, females can reproduce without mating. This is called parthenogenesis. So these ticks can repopulate themselves if they're transferred. Even the nymph is transferred on a bird. I'm a reformed duck hunter. I don't know how many duck hunters are out there, but I'm a reformed duck hunter. And I still love to eat wild ducks. And anybody ever clean a duck closely and,
A lot of
pluck the feather?
parasites. There's a lot of
Yes,
parasites. Yes.
right. And a lot of those are nymphal ticks and mites. And they get transferred long distances on migratory birds. So
wear
this is the
protective equipment.
yeah, this is looking at potential range for this Asian longhorn tick, and we discussed all the factors why we're so scared. This is the hard tick. We've been talking about those. This is a soft tick. In the United States and in Europe, the soft ticks do transmit a lot of the tick-borne encephalitis viruses. The soft ticks feed for a short period of time and then they drop off. Oh, they'll get really big, but they'll feed on you at night. And remember, the saliva contains a local anesthetic and an anticoagulant, so you're not gonna feel it. And then they're gonna drop off before you wake up. So we see a lot of this in Colorado and New Mexico. We see a lot of tick-borne encephalitis. Now look at this. These are all the black-legged deer tick. So this is the Lyme disease tick. So that's a female. Females 5 times bigger than males. That's a male, and that's a nymph. And the nymph only feeds a short time because it doesn't need much blood to fill up. And the nymph will drop off. And that's on the tip. I mean, that's magnified, but that's on a fingertip.
Wow.
So this is the Lone Star tick. Why do we call it the Lone Star tick?
Well,
The Texas
it's
Lone
probably
Star.
not in Texas. It's probably not in Texas. It's a misnomer.
No, it's not even. Texas does have it, but it's not as hyper endemic in Texas as it is further to the east. And this is the transmitter of the newborn, the newly emerging hemorrhagic fever viruses, bourbon virus and heartland virus. And this is the culprit that can give you red meat allergy. Why, we're not sure. This is the, we're predicting here the increasing distribution of the Lone Star tick, and heartland virus. So Lone Star tick used to be really just in the southeast. We were familiar with it. And now it's all the way into New England and all the way west into Nebraska and Kansas, Oklahoma.
Hmm.
And this is what's happening. The Asian longhorn tick was introduced from China into Korea and then into Japan, probably by migratory birds. And the same way it's gotten into the East Indies and into the eastern coast of Australia. So this is a new study that shows the risk factor for patients with severe fever with thrombocytopenia syndrome and contact with companion animals. So they were asking people questions. Did you have contact with a companion animal, either a cat or a dog, domestic cat or a dog? And it turns out to be most had contact with companion animals, especially cats. And then this is the last new study, and this is the last study that showed, was done in Turkey, that you could prevent the nosocomial transmission of Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, which is a really terrible disease. I mean, we could talk about it if you want to, because it's been a problem with our troops in Afghanistan. And a good friend of mine served as actually served, he's a veterinarian, but he served as a preventive medicine officer in Afghanistan. And we had long discussions. He was involved in the management of a lot of these cases as a DVM, not even as an MD. But ribavirin is obviously protective against nosocomial transmission of Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever. So those are some pictures I wanted to share with everybody.
Maybe just a quick blurb about this Crimean Congo fever. So it's a hemorrhagic fever with encephalitis as well?
Yes, not really encephalitis, but first of all, the name and how this happened, we have no idea. The first case was identified in the Crimean area of Turkey, and a similar case was identified in an area of the Democratic Republic of Congo in the interior of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And the disease is tick-borne. It can be transmitted by a nymphal tick. It is a virus called the Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever virus and abbreviated as such. And the disease has an initial flu-like onset with high fever and then severe hemorrhagic manifestations. And these may include intrapulmonary hemorrhage, intracranial hemorrhage, bleeding from every orifice, bleeding from IV puncture sites. And what was recognized early along was nosocomial transmission. And since the disease has a high case fatality rate, we were looking for treatment of both patients and exposed. And early along, it was felt that ribavirin, which isn't one of our first antivirals, may be effective, and it turns out to be. So it's apparently it's relatively inexpensive because it's been around for a long time, and this is treating healthcare providers who were exposed. And fortunately, the people who were treated, there was no fatalities. And here are the healthcare providers who were not treated. And you can see their case fatality rate is 42%. So the concern we have about Crimean Congo is nosocomial transmission, just like Ebola. And we're at this point, I hesitate to say this, but we think that the severe fever with thrombocytopenia virus, which is also a hemorrhagic fever virus, can also be transmitted nosocomial. So these hemorrhagic fevers look very much like hantavirus. So that's one of the important differential diagnoses to rule out.
Are there any things that you'd like to leave us with?
This is something that we need to worry about in the future because the changing climate has really benefited the vector extremely well. That is, ticks now can overwinter because winters are warmer. They can exist at higher altitudes because snowpack is reduced. Um, and they are very versatile vectors, better than mosquitoes, because they can transmit a broad range of pathogens, from spirochetes to rickettsia, these are bacterial, to viruses, to uh, parasites like mosquitoes can. And if they can't transmit an infectious disease to you, they can paralyze you or they can give you an allergy. The chapter on tick-borne diseases in Mandel's Principles and Practice of Infectious Diseases, the latest edition, is a chapter that I authored that has a lot of good tables in it. So the tables will help you just look at the certain types of viruses. So that might be a good resource if you have that textbook.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, and be safe. Don't eat too many ducks, and stay away from licking cats. I guess that's our bottom line.
That's right. Well, good meeting you, Daryl.